Hey, Alicia, how's it going?
Hey, Jack, it's going well. Thanks so much.
All righty. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. So let's dive right into it. The first thing that I want to ask you is before you picked up the playbook, what was it that you were struggling with in college recruiting that sort of brought you to us?
I'm really just knowing how to do it and where to start. We had been given so many different ideas and answers. Her high school coach said that's what AAU is for, but then we got into AAU. Not every AAU team is a shoe team. Not every team is going to be getting a ton of exposure. Um, Even on some of the certified um, tournaments, there weren't always a ton of coaches there. You never knew who was going to be there. Those schools that they're representing may or may not be a great fit for our kids. So, um, then when you talk to AU coaches, some of them would say, like, I'll help you make introductions, but some of them, they wouldn't promise anything. But really the brass tacks of it was going to be on us, and figuring that out was kind of freeing but frightening. So
Yeah.
we realized, like, it's just going to be what we can pull together. But I knew just the tenacity that my husband and I have, like, we were going to make it happen. And
Yeah.
then let her shine, but we were going to help facilitate that. So
Yeah. No, I think there's something really freeing when you realize, oh, I have a say in this. Like I can do something to increase the chances that my kid gets recruited. But then there's also the, oh crap. I guess there's things I have to do to make this happen. And so there's like the dichotomy of both of those things. So before you sort of like came to us, what were some of the other things that you were doing to try and solve that problem that you just mentioned, where you said, okay, there have to be things that we can be doing to improve our chances. Where did you sort of turn to before you found us? What were you trying to do to make that happen?
so really the first thing that we had tried was some of, like, the recruiting sites. We didn't pay a ton of money for it. We really didn't, like, do a ton of investing money wise into that. Um, but enough to kind of start dabbling a little bit. So one of them we paid, I think, like $50 a month to get like 20 emails to send to coaches. So we tried that. And that did generate some interest, and it did generate some things. There were other few sites, but the bulk of what that generated was generic camp invites, which was great.
Come to our camp, Alicia.
I know. Yeah, come to our camp. We know we're 1,000 miles away, and it's going to cost you $300 for your kid to play in this camp, but we welcome you. So yeah, yeah,
With open arms and
yeah.
open pocketbooks. Yes. Um, okay, cool. So, yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought. But
That's,
yeah, that's what you had tried. So you had tried some other recruiting sites,
mhm.
and you got some camp invites, right? And then what was the like tipping point where you went from trying that to then coming to us and grabbing the playbook? What sort of led to that transition or that change?
So really, honestly, like, my daughter's junior year, she had a lot of injuries. She ended up with mono. There were a lot of things that she just didn't get to play very much her junior year. So about February or so, January, February, I started realizing, like, okay, any exposure she was going to have her junior year probably is gone. Like, that year is just kind of a wash. And that's what some, other coaches and AAU coaches had told us, like, just consider her junior year wash. It's pretty much done. Start fresh this summer. But I knew going into the summer of before her senior year, we had to have a plan. I just didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to make that happen. And then I don't even know how I stumbled upon your stuff on Instagram. I'm grateful that I did, because I don't think we would be here if it wasn't for that. Um, but
Hmm.
I don't know how we saw it. I don't know who the connection was. I'm grateful. I don't care. hear how it happened.
You know what? I just made enough videos. I was like, there's someone out there named Alicia that I am supposed to get in front of. I need to figure out how to make that happen. Uh,
Absolutely.
okay,
Yep.
awesome. So you ended up coming in, right? And then what did you find helpful? You said, hey, I don't know that this would have happened if we didn't have that. What was it specifically that you found very helpful and really made a change for you?
Really, the structure of, I would say three things. I'm a crazy like list organizational person, hence the giant spreadsheet. Um, so we made a spreadsheet of it ended up being over 285 schools. And it started with blocks of different levels of schools, but then it also started with schools that had sent her either a camp invite or just an email like from a coach. So we added them in. Anybody who texted her, called her, emailed her. Sometimes emails were to me or my husband because our name or whatever. So just building that spreadsheet took a while, but that was really a huge part of it. Um, and then going from there, um, realizing that's kind of what we needed to do was just go through all the different levels of above and below where she could play and just hit everything. Um, and then second was this like specific script for what we needed to send to coaches, like keep it short and sweet. We did exactly what you said. The third thing was email or not email, video snippets. I looked on her YouTube just in preparing for this call as well. The biggest chunks of video that got the most views were shorts.
Hmm.
So what is that? Under 10 seconds
Yeah,
typically?
shorts are typically under 60, but when we like technically on YouTube they call those shorts, but yes, anywhere from like 10 to 20 seconds would be like a short.
Yeah, and her shorts got a combined like nearly 3,000 views.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just and we had 14 videos loaded on there. Just because that's what we had with all the injuries and mono and all of that. Like I was
Yeah.
pulling to use what we had, what we could find, and just getting the best stuff out there. So,
Yeah. That's awesome. Super cool. And you mentioned before that when you were using some of the platforms, you were getting camp invites. When you
mhm.
started to get traction after using the playbook, were you getting less, like more genuine interest that was coming through after you sort of started implementing some of like the video stuff or email script, whatever that looked like? What happened there? Was it still generic camp invites that were coming in?
Not for the most part. I mean, there's still that was probably the
Yeah.
not the rule. Um, and that's probably what changed was because then it started to turn to genuine conversations back and forth. And some of the conversations you could see like, they would ask what her major was and then they would say, "Oh, we don't really have anything that's going to line up with that." And so, we wish you the best. And some of them led into, "Hey, let's jump on a phone call." Um,
Yeah.
so it just those camp invite ones still happened, but not nearly as much.
Yeah. You're always going to get those camp
Yeah.
invites. They want you. They want you to come.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
awesome. I mean,
for
you guys
trying.
did. Yeah, right. You guys you did a phenomenal job. I know we had quite a bit of back and forth. And you just did a phenomenal job putting in the effort. You mentioned at one point in this, you said 285 schools, right? And there's a lot of families who don't reach 285 schools, but they still get results hitting 100 schools, right?
Right.
Something more than the 20 or 30 that sort of gets pitched out there like, hey, go
Mhm.
send 20 or 30 emails, something like that. And so I think you're just a great example of like, hey, if you really do the thing and you put in the time, you put in the effort, and you do it the right way, then you can see some awesome results. So let's get there. What ended up happening? What did you achieve, I guess, let's say, after all of this is sort of said and done?
Sure. So the other thing I was going to mention, kind of piggybacking on what you just said, was because of our, I mean, we're in Texas, so I'll share that. Um, so we kind of narrowed down to surrounding states, but then we kind of went a little beyond that and hit Kansas. And my brother-in-law asked us, why Kansas? And I said, well, those were the schools that started knocking. Those
Hmm.
were the schools she ended up getting three offers from Kansas schools. One offer we're not sure about
Okay.
what it was, the one I shared with you.
Yeah.
And but it ended up being the one that she chose. We went up and visited the school, loved the program, loved the school, the area. We have some friend connections up there as well. So she'll kind of have support system as well up
Nice.
there. And then took dad, my husband, up this weekend so he could see. And then she ended up signing on Saturday for her scholarship. So um, it just kind of everything fell in line. I'm still kind of it's still kind of surreal. I'm still kind of in shock that like everything just the doors just open for everything to happen.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Recruiting is very much like a hurry up and wait kind of
Mm-hmm.
situation. And you're like doing really hard. And it feels like you're not making progress. And then all of a sudden you get some interest, the interest advances pretty quickly, and then you get the offer and you commit and you're like, wait, is it really over? Like, is it really over? Are we
Yeah,
actually off the roller coaster? And you guys did a phenomenal job
thank you.
with that. And so I'm super excited for you guys. You had offers, you had options to choose from. You put in the work, you followed the playbook, and I'm just super excited for you guys. And yeah, just excited for her future and her career.
Thank you. Us too. We appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it. Alicia, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your experience. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jack.